President Barack Obama says the U.S. is studying the option of supplying lethal defensive arms to Ukraine if diplomacy fails to end the crisis in the east. Russia had violated every commitment made in the failing Minsk agreement, he added, after talks with the German chancellor on a new peace deal. Mr. Obama has come under pressure from senior U.S. officials to supply arms. Despite objections from Angela Merkel, Russia denies accusations of sending troops and supplying the rebels. The latest diplomatic efforts come amid renewed fighting between the pro-Russia rebels and Ukrainian government troops, with fighting centered around the strategic railway hub of Debaltseve. The rebels said on Monday they had cut off a key supply road to the town, which is near the rebel-held city of Donetsk, but the military says the battle is ongoing. Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is considering the peace proposals, earlier blamed the West for the crisis. The fresh push for talks is aimed at ending a crisis that has already claimed more than 5,300 lives and displaced 1.5 million people from their homes. Mrs. Merkel met the U.S. President in Washington on Monday to update him on German Franco plans to restart peace talks. She has made it clear that she opposes providing lethal arms to the Ukraine government, telling a security conference at the weekend that she did not believe more weapons could lead to the progress Ukraine needs. Mrs. Merkel and French President François Hollande have been leading efforts to revive the Minsk peace plan, which collapsed amid fighting over the winter. The detailed proposals have not been released, but the plan is thought to include a demilitarized zone of 50 to 70 kilometers, 31–44 miles, around the current front line. Ukrainian government officials say 9 soldiers and at least 7 civilians have been killed in fighting over the last 24 hours. Broken pledges. EU foreign ministers in Brussels agreed on Monday to impose further sanctions against Russian and rebel officials, but have put them on hold for a week to give the peace efforts a chance. Mr. Putin earlier said Western countries had broken pledges not to expand NATO and forced countries to choose between them or Russia, leading to the current crisis in Ukraine. In comments to an Egyptian newspaper, Mr. Putin accused Western states of supporting a coup d'état in Kiev, a reference to the ousting of former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych last year. He lost power amid protests over his decision to scrap a deal that would have seen Ukraine establish closer ties with the European Union. Since then, Russia has annexed Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula and rebels in the east have sought to establish full control over the regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. Germany's peace efforts were sharply criticized by senior U.S. Republicans who attended an international security conference in Munich over the weekend. Senator Lindsey Graham, who attended with Senator John McCain, said, "At the end of the day, to our European friends, this is not working. You can go to Moscow until you turn blue in the face. Stand up to what is clearly a lie and a danger." Mr. McCain said, "The Ukrainians are being slaughtered and we're sending them blankets and meals. Blankets don't do well against Russian tanks." U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has denied any rift with EU leaders, stating that they remained united and were working closely together. President Obama values the Chancellor's judgment, and appreciates her strong efforts in marshalling European support and maintaining transatlantic unity throughout the Ukraine crisis, U.S. National Security Council spokesman Mark Strout told the BBC on Monday.